What's up, everybody? Dan Sports News here, bringing you the 14th episode of the Dansportsnews and Friends Podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Dansportsnews, Instagram at I am Dansportsnews, and Facebook at Dansportsnews to catch all my latest articles and interviews in sports. Today's guest is Twany Beckham, who was a part of the 2012 Kentucky Wildcats National Championship basketball team. He shares his journey playing basketball and how he overcame adversity. Check it out. When did you first start playing basketball?
Man, I started playing basketball at the age of 4, as far as I can remember. My mom told me, around the age of 4 that I was one of those kids that couldn't stay away from a basketball no matter where we were in the house or outside on the playground, and I always had a ball in my hands.
Would you say basketball came naturally to you, or did you have to work hard for it?
At a very young age, basketball came really, really natural to me. Growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in, I was always one of the better kids. In the neighborhood, I was ranked always top 1 or 2 in the city and in my community as a young child. And it was one of those things where I picked up fast, and I was just gifted athletically in basketball and football. And every sport that I played in the community, I was just better than all the kids in my around. And so to me, it was one of those things where, just a guy given talent that I was blessed with.
When did you realize that you could play at the college level?
I realized very young that, if I continue to work hard and continue to put my focus on getting better every single day, that I would have a chance to play at the collegiate level and possibly an opportunity to play professionally at a very young age. Like I mentioned, I was always ahead of my time when it came to talent. I was tall, so that gave me an advantage in being a very, very tall point guard. And so it was one of those things where I realized that I had the talent, I had the abilities, and all I had to do was continue to work hard, stay focused, and I knew I would have the opportunity to play at the collegiate level.
So you go to Ballard High School for basketball. Talk about your high school years at Ballard High.
Well, my high school experience was very interesting. My freshman year, I came into Ballard High School as one of the better freshmen in the state of Kentucky, but I didn't play a single minute of varsity because at the time, like I mentioned, I wasn't focused. I just didn't have my head on in the right place. I was still just, doing some of the things that some of the other kids were doing in high school, just being a young kid. And I wasn't really focused on really living up to my potential. So the freshman, I didn't play as much as that I should have. And from my freshman year to my sophomore year, I grew from 6'1" to 6'5" between my freshman and sophomore years. And I came back and I started point guard as a sophomore on a team with 12 seniors. And Ballard High School is one of the better basketball schools in the state of Kentucky, probably throughout the country. And I became a 3-year starter, ranked top 10 in probably every statistical category in the program's history. I became a Kentucky All-Star, 7 Region Player of the Year. I had a couple triple doubles in high school. I was 7 Region Player of the Year, and I ended up having an incredible high school career.
Now, did you play AAU basketball during your high school years?
Yes, I played AAU basketball. I started out playing AAU basketball at a young age with the president ran the team, and still does run the team, called Louisville Legends. And then I switched over to the Derek Smith All-Star, so I finished my AAU career.
Right. Now, talk to me about your senior year at Ballard High. I read that you originally committed to IUPUI. What happened there?
So, my recruitment process was decent. I didn't really get the schools that I was hoping for. I was hoping to play high major. But, I seeked interest from a lot of mid-major schools. And IUPUI was one of the first schools to offer me a scholarship. They were coming to my high school frequently, and I really had to build a great rapport with the coaching staff. So I committed. And along with one of my best friends that I grew up with in the community, we both committed together. And when I committed, I just didn't have a good feeling about it. I felt like that I should have been playing at the high major level. So as soon as after I committed, I just didn't have a good feeling, and I ended up decommitting from my EPY.
Right. So you go to New Hampton School after senior year. What was it like playing prep school basketball?
Prep school basketball was probably the best decision that I made in my life at that point. I didn't pass the ACT test coming out of high school, so I only had two options: was to go to junior college or to go to a prep school. And I got an opportunity to go to New Hampton School in New Hampton, New Hampshire. And like I mentioned, it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made. I was able to, extend myself educationally. I started getting recruited from a lot of the top major schools that I thought I should have been getting recruited from in high school, just because I was in a different region of the country and a lot more coaches were seeing me. In prep school, I was able to play against some of the top talent throughout the country, which in return made me elevate my game. I became a better player. Just a year in prep school, I was to focus on my education wise, academically, and just focus a lot on my basketball, because at the prep school level, we were stuck in the middle of nowhere. We didn't have access to some of the things I had access to when I grew up. We were just stuck in the middle of nowhere. It was just school and basketball. So, and I was able to earn a scholarship to Mississippi State after my 1 year prep school.
Right. And I know there's a lot of misconceptions about prep school, that players tend to think that they're not good enough, when it's really they just want to get more offers, right?
Yes.
Right. So, what was it like when you finally got that high major offer from Mississippi State?
It was amazing, because, it just showed you that your dreams can come true. I always had a dream since I was a kid playing in the SEC. And then, after my 1 year prep school, I achieved that dream, got a scholarship to play at Mississippi State. It was just amazing. Became one of the first people in my family and my community to play high major basketball. It was just amazing. My freshman year at Mississippi State, I was able to be a part of a team that won the SEC championship my freshman year, so I was able to have some success as a freshman. And it was just amazing, man. Playing at that level is something that you dream about for your entire life, and then when you finally make it, man, it's just, it's one of those situations where you have to take full advantage of it.
Right. Now, you missed the next season with an injury. Can you explain what happened there?
Yeah, so we were training in the summer, and this is when life, threw a curveball at me. And for the first time, I was away from the game of basketball. But we were training in the summer, and I felt some discomfort in my hips. I never really felt that type of pain in my life. And I asked the coach, could I get MRI because something didn't feel right? And when those results came back, I had discovered that I had two hips that had bone spurs on them. And so if I didn't get surgery, then I probably wouldn't be able to walk in 5 or 10 years. So I had to get the surgery. So I had to get one surgery at one time and the other surgery and another time. So I was out an entire 12 months rehabilitating my hips.
So what was the recovery process like?
The recovery process is really, really tough. I mean, I had to go to class every day on crutches. And then after my class, I had to go to rehab and, to do everything that I was told to do in rehab, and which was very, very challenging because I was away from my teammates. I was away from the game of basketball. And, it was a very stressful time in my life because all I wanted to do was play basketball. And every single day I was in rehab for several hours, just trying to get myself back healthy. But at the same time, I was able to still, testing in the basketball practices. And, my teammates made me still feel part of the team. I was able to still do everything with the team besides travel to road games. But it was very, 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 very challenging year. It challenged me mentally, physically, spiritually, everything you can think of, man. And I was able to come back stronger. And then after that, my surgery, I came back and I started point guard, my junior year. So I was a third year sophomore at Mississippi State.
Right. So now that second year at Mississippi State, you even started a few games. Talk to me about that season and what went on.
Which season?
Your second year at Mississippi State playing. Your second full season.
My second year is the year. The second year is the year I had surgery.
Well, your second year playing, where you played and started 5 games, I think it was.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I had came back. I was named starter of the team. I played with the team all the way up to December, where I decided to transfer. I said I enjoyed my time at Mississippi State, but I felt like I wasn't being used right at the time, and wanted to go somewhere where I could feel like my talents were best used. So I decided to transfer mid-year as a third-year sophomore at Mississippi State.
And why did you choose Kentucky?
Initially, Kentucky wasn't on my radar when I was deciding to transfer. I wanted to get out of Mississippi State and go somewhere where I could potentially play 25 to 30 minutes a game, dominate the ball, and really play so I can really get seen. But as I was going through the process, I had an opportunity to visit with UK, visit with Coach Kyle, and it was just seemed like it was the right fit at the time for me. And I knew going into that situation that it would be hard to come across playing time in Kentucky, but it was one of those situations where, I knew I was going to be playing with other great players. I knew I was going to be challenged every single day. I knew that I was going to have an opportunity to play against the best players in the country every single day, not caring about what type of playing time I was going to get. And I'm a Kentucky fan since I was a kid, and it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up.
Right. So now, obviously you transferred and you couldn't play, but the team still made the Final Four that year, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so what was that experience, just being there and watching that team play?
So the first year I transferred to UK, the team goes to the Final Four. So, instantly, living the life that I dreamed of, being a part of the Final Four team. And then we lost in the semifinals that year. And then I come back the next year and we won the national championship, which was amazing. And that year, like I said, I got to go through everything. And so it was just one of those situations where, man, this is what you dream of. You get to play on this level, then you get to experience stuff that you've been watching on TV for your entire life. And it's kind of hard to sometimes put those words, put that experience into words because here I am at Mississippi State, transferred to UK, and now I've gone back-to-back Final Fours and then became a national champion. And sometimes it's hard to express those experiences.
Now, what's it like knowing that you're a part of history? The Kentucky Wildcats went 38-2 that year when they won the championship. Only one other team did that, the Memphis team, back with Coach Cal, both Coach Cal teams. What was it like knowing that you're a part of history?
Man, it's amazing knowing that I'm a part of history. It's amazing knowing that, we were able to do something special as a team, as a community, as a university. And that's special. Everywhere I go, every time I get introduced to speak, every time I get introduced anywhere, people call me a national champion. And that's something that, would never be taken away from me, something that would never be taken away from my teammates. Forever until the day we die, man, you're always going to be able to go back to the university and see that banner hung up. And no matter if you play 1 second or if you play 35 minutes, we all had a part of that. Every single day we had to go to practice, we had to grind, we were on the road together. And it was just, amazing. And I'm very thankful that God put me in that situation to be able to accomplish that with my teammates.
Right. Now, your second injury that happened, when exactly did it happen?
My second injury, which was my career-ending injury, happened a couple of weeks before my senior season was about to get started at the University of Kentucky. I lost feeling in my legs and couldn't move. And like I did at Mississippi State, I asked to get an MRI. I got an MRI, and those results came back as I had two herniated discs in my back, L4, L5. And I had to get surgery to get the feeling back in my legs. And so it was one of those things where I fought for a while. I got 3 epidurals to try to recover the feeling in my legs, and none of them worked. And so at that point, I knew that my career was over, and it was very devastating because I worked hard my entire life to get to that point where I was at, and for it all to end so suddenly was very, very devastating.
Now, how did you overcome adversity with that injury?
That's a great question. How I overcame adversity through which all I've been through in that career-ending surgery was, man, I just reflected. I seeked help. But the main thing was I started jotting down what I was going through, and that turned into a book. And once I finished my first book, I started going out and speaking on my experiences of getting past that devastation. And when I realized what my story was doing for others and how others' lives were being changed because I was very vulnerable and telling my story, then I realized, man, I have a purpose in this life, and it's to get in front of people, talk about my story, explain what it was like to overcome adversity, explain what it was like to fight for something really, really bad, really, really hard, and fail, and then still have to get yourself back up and still have to make a life out of it. And that's what gave me a new purpose, and I enjoy loving what I do now. But I wouldn't be who I am without going through what I went through.
Right. Now, those two books, Full Court Press and Pressure, why did you decide to write those books?
I decided to, like I just mentioned, I decided to write the first book because, it helped me get out of the depression that I was going through. When I thought my life was over, I realized that, man, there's power in sharing my testimony. There's power in sharing my story. And so I wanted to get everything off my chest in my first book about what I was going through, talking about my experiences, and hopefully this inspiring others. And my second book is called Pressure. And I was able to write that book in a completely different mind state, a completely different mind frame. I've tried since I've graduated college. I've tried a lot of things. I've tried businesses. I've tried working at different jobs. I've ran into people who have, gave me knowledge, who have overcome their own adversities, their own pressures. And so I wanted to put everything I've learned, while I'm at the age of 30, while I'm in a very, very happy place, into a book to inspire people on a different level. I think everybody in their life has pressure and the different adversities that we need to overcome. And so I wanted to highlight that in this book called Pressure. I was able to kind of share a little bit about how I got over my adversities and my pressures, but I was also able to interview 12 other different people and let them explain to you how they've overcame their pressure. So if you don't relate to my book, my story and my book, you will be able to relate to several of the other people that I interviewed in my book. So if you read my book, somewhere, somehow, you will be inspired.
Right, for sure. Now, obviously at Kentucky, back to basketball, you played with lots of guys who are in the NBA. Anthony Davis, Michael K. Gilchrist, Brandon Knight. What was it like playing with those top players who you guys knew were going to make it to the league?
It was amazing. Like I mentioned, that was one of the reasons that I chose to go to Kentucky, was because every single day I was practicing against those type of players. So it was only going to benefit me in a way where I knew every single day I practiced, I was getting better. And hopefully, had I not got injured, that I was going to have a chance to be in the NBA, because I was playing against NBA players every single day. So if I knew if I can play and practice and have great practices against those guys, then it wasn't going to be nothing for me to go to the NBA and compete, or overseas and compete at a very, very high level. So every single day, man, you had to bring it. There was no off days because of who you was playing and practicing against. And so, like I said, man, it was great. It's awesome to see my brothers doing great in the NBA. I cheer for everybody that I've been teammates with, everybody that come from the university that are in the NBA, and it's just awesome to have that brotherhood with those guys and those connections.
Right. Now, recently, obviously, as we all know, a former Kentucky Wildcat just suffered a huge injury. You obviously suffered through injuries. What are your thoughts on the DeMarcus Cousins injury?
Man, as soon as I saw the news about it, man, I just prayed for him. And because I understand what he's going through, when you got the injury bug and it's really, really affecting, your family, affecting you physically, mentally. I just pray hard for DeMarcus, because I know how hard DeMarcus has worked to get back through his injuries. I know how hard it is to get back from injuries. And so I just hope that, he stays right mentally or seeks help if he's struggling, so that one day, man, he could be back to his normal self.
Right, for sure. Now, you didn't play with him. He was there the year before you were at Kentucky?
Yeah, I didn't play with DeMarcus. He left the year before I came. But he's a brother of mine. Like I said, I've met him a couple of times. He's cool. I've talked to him. He's in my fraternity at Kentucky, with just being BBN. And so, great guy, man. I love him. And like I said, he's a brother to me. He's come from the same university I come from. So I was wishing him well in his recovery.
Right. And did you ever get the chance to play against him when you were at Mississippi State, because that's the SEC?
We played against them twice, but I was hurt. It was the year that I had hip surgery.
Oh, okay. All right. Now, lastly, can you just talk a little bit about what you're doing now with all the speaking engagements and what you're doing?
Yeah, so, man, I get asked to, speak all over the place. And it's primarily in the lane in which I love speaking in, overcoming adversity, sharing my story, talking about my books, and impacting the community, impacting the culture. Man, I love it. I wouldn't wish to be doing anything else other than that. And I also am a director at a university, at an HBCU, where I get to have impact on that type of community. I have a media company called Behind the Life, in which I'm highlighting incredible stories of people who are doing great things in the community, not just mine, but all throughout the country. Looking to expand that. I dropped the first video September 5th. And I'm just going to continue to pave a way for myself, pave a way for others to be successful no matter what it is that you go through in life, no matter what hardships, no matter what opposition you face, that you can still be successful no matter what it is that you go through in your life. So I'm going to continue to have that mission, continue to be true to who I am, continue to, connect with brothers like yourself, people around the world that are trying to create change, trying to have a movement. And I'm on forward, and I just want to be somebody that's a positive light to the community. And every single day, man, just wake up and know that success for me is simply just about being happy. It's about waking up and being in the best mood I could be in every single day.
Right. Well, thank you for taking time to be on my podcast. Let the listeners know where they can follow you on social media and where they can purchase and read your books.
Man, once again, I want to say thank you for having me on, man. I appreciate you reaching out to me. I appreciate you giving me this space to come on your platform and talk about myself and to talk about what I've been through. For all y'all that are listening, you can find me on my social media accounts, Twany Beckham, Instagram, Twany Beckham, Twitter, Twany Beckham, Facebook, Twany Beckham, on LinkedIn, Twany Beckham. It's all across the board. You can find me there. Please follow me, reach out. Let me know you came from hearing me on this podcast, and don't be scared to say something to me, man, because I try to reach back out to every single body who likes me.